What is going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 2 of the FanDuel Football Multiverse, where we explore various what-if scenarios and see how things could have been different across the NFL. Today, we're going to ask, what if Drew Brees had retired this offseason and Sean Payton had finally gotten his wish? That is right, we are plugging in Taysom Hill as the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints offense as they face the Atlanta Falcons. My name is Jim Sadas. I am a senior writer and analyst for NumberFire, joined here by JJ Zachariason, the editor-in-chief of NumberFire and FanDuel. JJ, we have heard tons of talk about how much Sean Payton loves that guy, Taysom Hill, and thinks he can be the franchise quarterback. And today, we're going to get a glimpse of what that looks like. What are you expecting here in this matchup?
I'm expecting not a lot of great passing from Taysom Hill, but a lot of strong rushing, hopefully. We know that what he can do with his legs, and that's really how the Saints have utilized him in that offense the last couple of seasons. Do I think that Taysom Hill is the future of the New Orleans Saints? I don't, but maybe this simulation will make me feel differently.
I think way more fun would be if we did like an old John Boyce breaking Madden thing and just cloned Taysom Hill 52 times and made him play every single position, potentially for both teams. I don't know. We can get really wild with this. But Taysom Hill, $14,500 on FanDuel, got that arm sleeve and everything, and he will be the quarterback here. So we're going to see him and a little bit of Konami code here, JJ, where maybe we'll see Taysom Hill taking off. Rich Rebar of Sharp Football obviously coining that term, where quarterbacks in fantasy get a pretty big boost from rushing. And I think the hope, if you use Taysom Hill on FanDuel, is that you're going to get some of that juice here in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like once people saw that arm sleeve and the swagginess coming with Taysom Hill, they would have just locked him into their lineups at 100% exposure. I'm excited to see what Taysom Hill can do with this sleeve.
And they are going to throw and, at least attempt to throw. And obviously that did not work. Taysom Hill tried to take full advantage of the New Orleans Saints offensive line, which is an awesome one. Probably can't hang on to the ball for 15 seconds. So a word of advice for Taysom Hill there. And I think that what's good to note here, if we're talking about this, if we were trying to simulate an actual situation, is that putting Taysom Hill at starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints is different than Taysom Hill as starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, for the Cincinnati Bengals, because the offensive line is so freaking good. You have Michael Thomas. You have Alvin Kamara. You have Jared Cook, who is obviously the best tight end in football, clearly. But that's a good situation to have, so our expectations should be higher for Taysom Hill in that situation if he will get rid of the dang football.
Oh, my God! A Taysom Hill 6'6". Oh, my goodness,
that
Taysom.
Could not have been a better start.
Man,
you threw it right to him.
That was not great.
Latavius Murray's going to quit, and I don't blame him. That was hideous. You saw Taysom Hill falling after the pass. What a start as Taysom Hill giving the Falcons some free points to start things off here on the pick six, less than a minute into the game.
Yeah, I mean, look, Taysom Hill just got paid this offseason. There was a report recently from Jay Glazer talking about how he could be the future of this team.
No. He called him a bigger Lamar Jackson. I think that's the bigger thing here.
Let's just take the MVP. Let's just take the MVP of last year.
Exactly. If you're saying that a player is in any way a different version of the reigning MVP, and that differing way is a bigger thing or a better thing for football, probably should take a step back and reevaluate.
Yeah, the one thing that I would say too, it seems kind of funny that it's like they were waiting to unleash Taysom Hill all this time, and they're just waiting for Drew Brees to retire because Sean Payton had this idea of running an offense around Taysom Hill that would be similar to how the Ravens ran their offense with Lamar Jackson last year. It just seems like it just reads as like a report where the Saints just want to get some love for being creative in some way because the Ravens got there first. But let's give Greg Roman and the Ravens offense some credit for what they did last season.
Absolutely. And I understand there's been a lot of buzz about teams eventually wanting to get to a place where they have multiple quarterbacks on the field at the same time, guys who can throw the ball. And that was a discussion point when Jalen Hurts got drafted where there's value in that. And, they think that is the next step in the NFL, and Taysom Hill, I could see him serving well in that role where he is kind of the role he's playing right now. But to see him as a full-time quarterback, when our sample on him as a passer in the NFL is like 13 pass attempts or something like that, Jameis Winston has completed more passes to New Orleans Saints players than Taysom Hill has, those weird stats. I can see him serving the role he's in, but envisioning him being a franchise quarterback when we have so little data to back that up is hard to see. And that pass is inaccurate there too, as he does complete one to Michael Thomas, but you need to hit the accuracy so that we can have Michael Thomas run after the catch too.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what this offense looks like for the Saints in this simulation, because we might see maybe more of a pass-heavy offense than we would otherwise if Taysom Hill was under center. But that does mean that we could see more scrambles. So I'm hopeful that Taysom Hill can sort of scramble, roll out and get some yards with his legs so that he can boost those fantasy points after throwing a pick on the first drive.
Yeah, we did see a little bit of Mitch Trubisky running last week, so maybe we can get that from Taysom Hill. Hopefully he's more successful as there he does take off, and he stopped short of the first down marker and probably could have gotten there, but decided not to. And at least that first run for Taysom, he's off to a better start than old Mitchell was last week, where he decided to run directly into a defender. So at least Taysom Hill has that going for him. But I think 3rd and 1 is the type of situation where a guy like Taysom Hill should thrive. Short yardage, that's where you can kind of use those legs in a lot of ways. They run the play action fake there, and it's a incomplete pass. As I don't know what you're doing there on 3rd and 1, but hey, more power to you, Sean Payton.
Yeah, they looked like they had it if they would have given it to Alvin Kamara there, but I would assume in this simulation that they're going to punt on 4th and 1, even though there's an argument here, on your own 35 that you could go for it.
This is another situation where having actual Taysom Hill will be fun, because you could have him being like that up back for a punt situation. You can snap it directly to him and have some creativity there. There's so much value in the role he currently serves. It's just different when you're asking him to be the full-time quarterback. Now, Taysom Hill, with that rush attempt, probably around 0 FanDuel points by this point. He did lose 1 with the pick 6, but if you used him so far, not too pleased. We do get to see Matt Ryan. He was the most expensive player on FanDuel for this game. Julio Jones, $14,000, as was Michael Thomas. Alvin Kamara, $13,000. I feel like, JJ, if I were entering this contest, I'd probably be pretty heavy on the Falcons. That pick 6 didn't really help them all that much because it's 1 less possession, less time on the clock for them. But that's the way I would have gone. Heavy Falcons. How would you have played this one if you were in the contest?
Yeah, I think so too. At least the Falcons pass catchers. I think that, there might have been some urge to play Taysom Hill just because of the rushing ability, but Matt Ryan, definitely the safer option of the two. I got to throw out the little Matt Ryan point at the camera when they were showing him in his statistics. I would love to see that IRL. Matt Ryan having a little more swag than he typically has.
Wow, direct shot at Matt Ryan.
Yeah, sorry, Matt. I know that he's watching the stream, so I had
intently
to
hanging on every word. Devontae Freeman, of course, these are the default Madden rosters. The way this will work for the football multiverse is it'll be the default Madden rosters minus the changes we are articulating. So it is pretty much the same Falcons team from 2019 as Calvin Ridley gets a nice little gain there of 16 yards and gets the Falcons offense moving here. But going forward, we're going to have it just be the default rosters outside of the articulated changes. So next week when we come back here on this FanDuel YouTube page, make sure you are subscribed to that to get this one or to watch that one as it goes live. We're going to see Deshaun Watson on the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's going to be pretty cool. I have to learn how to say Jaguars appropriately because apparently I say it wrong and people yell at me on Twitter. I say Jaguars, which is apparently super Midwestern, so I'm outing myself. But we'll work on that for next week. Another carry here for Devontae Freeman as he gets stuffed. Of course, next year that'll be Todd Gurley. A whole lot of fun to see him back in Georgia, which will be interesting for sure. But Devontae Freeman back on the Falcons here for the simulation. Devontae Freeman was $12,000 on FanDuel for the single game contest. Kind of wish they'd open things up here, let Matt Ryan let her rip. It's the offseason. Let's have some fun here.
That's what they did last year too. They were the most pass heavy team in the league. They've been the most pass heavy team in the league. Really, Dirk Cutter's a really, really big reason for that. We saw last season they were really high in pass to rush ratio and neutral game scripts. We've seen that really consistently with Dirk Cutter as their offensive coordinator. They've been top 4 in the league every year that he's been offensive, dating back to when he was there in 2012 to 2014, and then he came back last year after his stint in Tampa Bay. So Dirk Cutter has been a very pass-friendly offensive coordinator for this Falcons team, as we see another pass going to Julio Jones there.
And Julio picks up 12 yards.
It's a Wildcat?
Oh, it is. Is that Russell Gage?
I think it's Russell Gage.
It was Russell Gage. All right, so Russell Gage, the Wildcat quarterback, maybe they saw Taysom Hill at quarterback. Yeah. Anything you can do, I can do better. And did Russell Gage throw a pick six on the first drive? No, he didn't. So, hey, point to Russell Gage.
I'm thinking that the Saints should be thinking about, or maybe the Falcons. Maybe the Falcons are sort of getting Russell Gage ready to be their franchise signal caller after Matt Ryan retires.
No, they already had that plan in place. They just didn't want to be all braggy like the Saints and be like, "Yo, we had Lamar Jackson."
Yeah, they don't need to say
it happened.
Yeah, they don't
so they're just keeping their plans under wraps, and I get it for sure. Another play action fake there to Devontae Freeman, downfield toss, and that was an accurate pass by Matt Ryan to Austin Hooper, back on the Falcons after a fake stint, I guess, with the Cleveland Browns, but
doesn't know where to go.
Yeah.
Just going back. Do I go to the sideline? Do I go back to the huddle? Do I go to the sideline?
But it's fun to see Austin Hooper back there. I'm sure that
a lot of volume there that he might not get in Cleveland, which is a little scary for fantasy.
And Hayden Hurst will get to play that role next year.
Yes.
For the Atlanta Falcons, that should be pretty fun. But the Falcons already up 7-0 and driving here once again. The 7 points came off a pick six by Taysom Hill. Who could have possibly expected that? Draw to Devontae Freeman. He got some room, ran directly into the offensive lineman. Very Devontae Freeman of 2019-esque.
Pretty realistic.
But a good drive here for the Falcons. They tried to take a 2-score lead here. Devontae Freeman getting good volume, 12 yards so far. I think on this Falcons team, obviously, if you're looking at MVP slot, we talked about this last week from a DFS perspective, where it's tough to get behind the quarterbacks as much as you would in completion there. But it's tough to get behind the quarterbacks as much as you would normally because it's a short game, only 6-minute quarters, and that decreases the number of touchdown chances they get. And quarterbacks in fantasy, you need touchdowns for them to really pay off. Matt Ryan already missing out on one with the Taysom Hill pick six, which means they may be able to run later, sat some volume, so that really does hurt Matt Ryan. I think the skill position guys are kind of the pieces here that fit most from a DFS perspective in this specific format. Russell Gage apparently moved back to wide receiver.
Backup quarterback catching passes now. Crazy.
That's right. Would you rather, JJ? You got to go with Russell Gage or Taysom Hill for one game. Are we just all in on Russell Gage at this point?
Apparently, yeah. I mean, I think that Russell Gage is the guy who should have gotten the fat contract this offseason and not Taysom Hill.
I have a Russell Gage share in Dynasty, and the fact that they decided not to take CeeDee Lamb at 17 or at 16 overall made me quite happy. I don't know if they should have, but hey, we're living on a prayer at this point if you have Russell Gage in Dynasty. But a quick first quarter as the Falcons are up 7-0, keeping things moving. Matt Ryan completing a lot of passes and decreasing the volume in this game. But the Falcons on the 12-yard line, 1st and 10, trying to add on to their 7-0 lead. A lot of weapons in the red zone for this Falcons team, at least, because they do have Austin Hooper still in addition to Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. My worry here is that getting down 2 scores with Taysom Hill as your quarterback could be kind of daunting. And Matt Ryan, apparently watching too much Taysom Hill tape, walking right into the sack.
Yeah. This Falcons offense is kind of intriguing and interesting for fantasy purposes solely because of the passing volume that we talked about earlier. But the target tree there is really narrow. I know your boy Russell Gage is there. Shouldn't talk down on him. But it's really Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley that are going to demand a high target share. And then what? Hayden Hurst is probably looking to be the number 3 option in that offense this season if he's talented enough, if he's able enough. It just really elevates Calvin Ridley. I think this is the year for Calvin Ridley to really break out and maybe be the Chris Godwin of this season.
Yeah, you look at his target shares last year when Mohamed Sanu got traded as Austin Hooper gets close to scoring there down to the 2-yard line. But after the Mohamed Sanu trade, Calvin Ridley's market shares in the games where he was healthy, even when the games that Julio played, he was getting 20 to 24% of the targets in those games, and you give him that in a pass-heavy offense with Matt Ryan at quarterback, and a lot of really good things can happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
3rd down and 1 here for the Falcons on the 2-yard line as Julio comes over in motion. Devontae Freeman in the backfield. Ryan's going to pass into the end zone. That is a touchdown for Julio. Hey, a red zone target for Julio Jones. Look at that.
Nice little dance. Julio doesn't strike me as someone who would be a me look at me receiver after scoring a touchdown.
I feel like if we were grading the NFL player pool on its hypothetical dancing abilities, though, Julio Jones, because of the insane athleticism, the rip muscles, I feel like he could grade out really well. I think that Madden needs to add that into the algorithm at some point. Just
Julio would be great at a wedding.
Yes,
on the dance floor. Yeah,
just don't let him wear his earrings, because I think he lost like $100,000 earring in a lake or something last year. So we'll keep that in check. But now a 2-score lead here for the Atlanta Falcons, which means, JJ, we get Taysom Hill a negative game script.
There might be 4 pick sixes in this game after seeing how things have gone so far.
My body is ready. Sean Payton watching this stream, locked in his basement, watching this by himself, as I'm sure this is his form of adult entertainment. He's probably pretty excited to see Taysom Hill unleashed too. So we're going to get a full test of what this would look like here.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what he can do. Like I said, though, I really want him to be able to scramble. I hope the simulation gods take over and allow Taysom Hill to really just run for like 80 or 90 yards in this game. That to me, and I might be wrong about this by the end, but that to me is the way that Taysom Hill pays off in fantasy, is if he does end up scrambling a whole lot and they unleash him that way.
The other thing too, if we're talking about this from a real world perspective, is that quarterback rushing attempts are pretty valuable, not just for fantasy, but for like real world football.
Yeah.
Because you're essentially giving the team an additional blocker, because you can use the running back as a blocking asset there. And you look at expected points numbers on rushes, it's going to be selection bias because it's a sack until it's not. So quarterback rushing numbers are going to be inflated by that, but they're really valuable plays. So if you're talking about Sean Payton scheming this thing up to begin with, you would think they'd want Taysom Hill scrambling, and quick little pass there as he does get a completion. So we're moving the football now. Ted Ginn back with the team.
Yeah, not there anymore.
We were talking about Ted Ginn last week when we were doing the Chicago Bears stream, as he is now there. But instead, Emmanuel Sanders in town with the Saints with Drew Brees, luckily, thankfully, at quarterback for now, at least.
Going to go down as one of the oldest connections in NFL history.
First down and 10 here for the Saints. They try to get something going. Play action fake there to Kamara. So they're just really leaning all in to the passing here. And Michael Thomas out of bounds.
That was a dime out of bounds, though.
Yeah, great pass.
He had all the time in the world, though. I mean, we're seeing the offensive line. I mean, that's very realistic. We know the Saints' offensive line is good, but we've also seen, you recall the one game where the Falcons defense really turned it on and was able to they had a little like 3 or 4 week run where they dominated the Saints offense. We've seen the Falcons defensive line give the Saints some troubles in the past, but I think that Taysom Hill's, that was not a great pass.
Where's it going by?
What we've seen so far in this game, though, is that he's had time. We just need him to escape the pocket a little bit and stop using his arm, because he is not a quarterback.
And they even beefed up that offensive line. Cesar Ruiz in the first round this year, which allowed them to move on from Larry Warford. So just kind of a flex by the Saints. Like, we've already got the best offensive line of football. Middle finger to you. We're going to take Cesar Ruiz anyway. A long throw, and that's pass interference, though.
That looked ugly coming out of it. Like, that just looked bad, but luckily they were saved by this flag.
It looked like a duck, but it
Keanu
flew like
Neal.
a dove.
Good to see Keanu Neal out there, though.
That's right, absolutely. 14-0, Falcons on top. So Sean Payton going to the air raid with Taysom Hill, and I feel like real Sean Payton might do this too, where he's like, I've seen your sarcastic tweets about Taysom Hill as my quarterback, so I'm just going to go all in, and we're going to see what happens here. This time they go with the naked backfield, and Taysom Hill pass incomplete, going for Jared Cook. Poor Jared Cook. He's lived his entire football career with subpar at best quarterback play outside of when he was with Drew Brees this year. Finally gets Drew Brees, has a good year when he's healthy with the Saints, and now he has to play with Taysom Hill, and Taysom Hill just can't hit him.
I love that. I love that low-key shot on Aaron Rodgers right there, Jim.
I mean, that's true.
No. We're leaving it at that. We're leaving it at that. Aaron Rodgers, below average quarterback.
I don't want him mad at me. I don't want to be like a member of the Rodgers family.
Jim's Twitter handle is @JimSonis. Yes. Go ahead and hit his mentions.
He's not quite at Allen Robinson levels of playing with subpar quarterbacks. But
yeah, and Allen Robinson balled out with Mahomes last week.
Absolutely, and a touchdown there. Julio Jones, the lone offensive touchdown so far in this game. Taysom Hill does look good dropping back. There we go. We're getting some scrambling. Oh, come on, man. Lean into it. It. It's a simulation.
Yeah, man. It'll be all
Lower
right.
the shoulder. It does pick up 8 yards. So a couple of rushes so far for Taysom Hill. About 16 yards rushing for him so far. And again, like you said, if we're looking for Taysom Hill to have a big upside game from a fantasy perspective, that's exactly what you want. You want him to run the football as often as possible. And kind of a cheat code from a fantasy perspective to have it. And they tucks it again, trying to get outside. Ooh, a little juke there by Taysom Hill.
Look at
he got the magic.
Man, the one player who is not getting any love in this game so far is Alvin Kamara.
No.
None.
He's not having any of it.
No.
Poor Alvin Kamara is physically there, but is he emotionally there?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We don't know.
Taysom Hill doesn't think he's there, at least.
All right, so last time on 3rd and short, they threw a long out. This time, I'm hoping they do something different. They run the play action, they throw a long out, and it's complete
Touchdown.
This time, though. Josh Hill, let's go. Josh Hill.
Man.
Tight end to tight end magic there, as Taysom Hill does find Josh Hill in the end zone for the touchdown. The Saints are on the board, so joke's on us. Taysom Hill gets those 4 points.
I think that he just had a little bit of some jitters to start the game out, and he's feeling good. He's feeling more relaxed. Giving some high fives on the sideline with Sean Payton. Sean Payton is talking some junk with Josh Hill, celebratory junk, of course. But yeah, he looked. Taysom Hill looked a lot better on that drive. They were saved by that pass interference call on a bad pass. Let's be honest, that was not a good pass from Taysom Hill. But they were saved, and that was able to extend the drive, and then they scored.
But I think more importantly, this is a big development for those of us who like to fill out DFS lineups with no logic at all to them, because you got the Hill connection. I am all for weird last names being combined. Last week in Darlington for NASCAR, there were a lot of lineups where you could use Bush, and Busher, Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, and Chris Buescher.
Nice.
Taysom Hill, Josh Hill stacks, straight cash, homie. $7,500 for Josh Hill as he gets a touchdown there. I think we should have known that this was just bound to happen. It was destiny that he would find Josh Hill for the touchdown.
Jim, do you remember Michael Thomas? Did he I think he retired, before this. Yeah, before this game
when
started.
Latavius Murray quit after that pick six, Michael Thomas was like, no.
Yeah, he walked off the field. Yeah, he just
Although
walked
we
off
have to
the
be
field.
careful, because there is nobody who is more extremely online than Michael Thomas, especially quarantine Michael Thomas.
Yes.
Dude has way too much time on his hands.
Yes, but we love him. He's arguably the best wide receiver in the game. Michael, we love you.
Yeah,
we're not saying bad things about you here.
Ever. Absolutely not. Devontae Parker, you can have your time.
Although Michael Thomas was completely correct in his back and forth with Devontae Parker. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean everything Michael Thomas says is hilarious until you're like, is this the way a healthy human being thinks? You're like, maybe not. But it's entertaining, so who cares?
Yeah. I mean, look, if it drives him, it reminds me of like the Last Dance documentary with Jordan, just finding every little small thing to just be angry about and then just go dominate. Ooh, there's a big run from Freeman. But yeah,
4 carries, 23 yards, and the 2-minute warning here.
But there's I feel like Michael Thomas is the kind of athlete that really thrives off of the negativity, which is great. Find the thing that really drives you, and he's been the guy. Like you can tweet about players and they won't say any. I mean, I will say this, I'll randomly be blocked by player. Like Mark Ingram blocked me on Twitter. I have no idea why. I've never interacted with him.
The running back matters conversation.
Yeah,
I'm sure that he just knows.
Yeah, right. It's probably just, but there are players that will search their actual names, and Michael Thomas is a guy who searches his actual name. And then he just uses it, I would assume, as fuel in some way. And he owns people online, though.
It's a very common name to doing the Twitter searches for.
But he does it, and he owns people. He owns souls on Twitter.
Just cower. I live my life in fear of interacting with Michael Thomas online. That is the scariest thing I could possibly.
He will make you cry for the rest of the evening after
the thought of it makes me cry. He doesn't have to do it; just the thought of it is another completion here to Austin Hooper. As he's got, I think, 3 catches already. As the Falcons' offense moving the ball once again. But
good offensively.
You were talking about players using like old stuff as motivation. Like Russell Wilson, I think on draft day this year tweeted out like a scouting report of his, and he was drafted in like 2011, probably.
Yeah, right.
It was
like when does it stop? Like to me, I might be angry about something and be motivated to do something, but I'm over it in like 24 hours, which is probably partially the reason why I'm a dad doing a Madden simulation commentary right now, and I'm not on a football field. But it's just mind blowing to me how these guys can just latch onto those stories and really, be motivated from it for years.
I will get mad. I will tilt Slack you and Brandon Gadula in our workplace Slack, and then I'll forget about it because I have a very short attention span.
Yeah, I'm just
move on with my life because I just kind of
done.
forget.
I'm just gonna go play Animal Crossing and be done with it.
I probably won't do that, but Matt Ryan trying to thread one in there to Calvin Ridley, almost got picked off.
Look, the Falcons' passing attack is actually looking pretty decent against a good Saints secondary. Matt Ryan's now 9 of 11, has that touchdown to Julio. So they're moving the ball down the field pretty much at will. But that was easily the worst pass from Matt Ryan in this game.
I think the people watching most intently here are the people who use Devontae Freeman because he's gotten some good volume so far. And if he could get a touchdown, that would do quite a bit. He had that reception. He's had some good rushing volume too. And the Falcons are 14-7, and they get the ball in the second half. So if we can get a little bit of juice here for Devontae Freeman right now, that could pay off pretty well for people who did decide to use him on FanDuel for this contest. Again, he was $12,000, a pretty respectable salary for a guy in a Falcons offense that, when they're facing Taysom Hill, I would have expected to have the lead late in that game. Another good pass there from Matt Ryan to Julio Jones. As Ryan goes over 110 yards for the game. Julio, he's dancing again. I think that we convinced the algo to add this in and just get full Julio dance.
Yeah, I feel Julio Julio is very much a give the football back to the ref, unless there's end of the game. I mean, he's passionate with, and he's very, very good, obviously, but it's hilarious to see all of the players essentially on the same playing field in terms of celebratory and the intensity of it.
Matt Ryan, long pass to Austin Hooper, and he gets down inside the 5 again.
This could be Freeman. Oh, no, they only have the 18 seconds left, so it's probably
okay,
not.
They do go the timeout. So 16 seconds left. They're on the 4-yard line, 1st and goal, trying to go up by 2 scores. And again, they get the ball to start off the second half. So I could see this being, like you said, a Freeman spot. The risk is that if you don't make it, you got to scramble. I believe there's a 10-second automatic runoff for a no-huddle play on Madden. So that could get dicey. But our boy Russell Gage, one of the 2 receivers on the field right now, as Ryan will throw, goes to Julio. Oh, what a weird, I guess that was Ridley. A weird-looking pass, but it works as he finds Calvin Ridley for the touchdown.
That just matrixed in midair and just went from one side to right into Calvin Ridley's hands. We got to see this replay.
The changeup, man.
I think it was really just Calvin Ridley not paying attention to what was happening, and he just quickly strafed to the right to get that catch.
Matt Ryan getting his Max Fried on with the off-speed pitch there. But it works. Couple of touchdowns now from Matt Ryan. 1 to Julio Jones, 1 to Calvin Ridley. So we were talking about quarterback scoring being tough in these simulations, but a couple of touchdowns in the first half for Matt Ryan as Younghoe Koo gets that one for the extra points. His 3rd already, so 3 points there if you wanted to value play at a Younghoe Koo. I guess not that cheap. He was $9,000, but hey, regardless. And the Falcons offense looking pretty good here. And the issue now for the Saints again, down 2 scores. Taysom Hill's your quarterback. Although again, he did look better on that drive after that, but could potentially an uphill battle here for the Saints. Takeaways so far from the first half for you, JJ?
Well, the one takeaway that I just realized is that Matt Ryan has the largest head in Madden history. I've never seen
disproportionate. Yes.
Yeah, I've never seen this is coming from a guy that wears a size 8 hat. I know what big heads look like, and Matt Ryan's head is gigantic in this game. That's my top takeaway.
I like it. So less than 10 seconds left in this opening half. Maybe we can get a Taysom Hill Hail Mary. I don't know. We can see if he can just chuck it. See what happens. Although, I will say, in that playoff game, I can't recall if it was this year or if it was last year, they wanted to run throw a deep ball. And Drew Brees is really, really good at quarterback, but the deep ball not necessarily there, the juice not necessarily there anymore. They had Taysom Hill throw it deep, and he actually looked pretty good there. So maybe we can get just a prayer here from Taysom Hill. But instead, now they decide to use Alvin Kamara and call a timeout. All right, why not? Whatever. Extend the first half. 5 seconds left with the Falcons up 21-7.
There was a tweet. One of the NFL accounts sent it, but there was a clip from the 2002 Pro Bowl of quarterbacks doing one of the competitions, like the deep ball competition, to see how far they could throw. Yeah. And it was amazing to see the quarterbacks that were there. The average here. We'll let this play run out here.
He is going to throw it deep. All right. Let's see what happens. That actually almost worked, but the Falcons do knock it down there as the first half comes to an end.
Yeah, so this video, they were showing these guys from 2002. Peyton Manning was there. Tom Brady was there, but it's wild that Tom Brady's still in the league. Right. And there he's doing this competition with like Jake Plummer and Aaron Brooks and Jeff Garcia and these guys who you haven't even thought about since second grade. I mean, it's wild that he's still in the league. But they were doing the deep ball stuff, and the average, the high was typically in the 60s, mid 60s. I think Aaron Brooks was in the low 70s or upper 60s. So where they were at the line of scrimmage there was very, very little chance that anyone on the Saints roster was going to throw it to the end zone.
I want to see that competition now because there's like Patrick Mahomes, obviously, but like Josh Allen can let it go whenever he needs to. I want to see what those guys could do if they were – because, like, if Josh Allen doesn't have a target to throw to, and it doesn't matter if it's accurate or not, he can do some fun things. It's just when he has to hit a target where things get a little bit dicey. We're going to kick off the second half here, but once again, next, Jaguars, and instead Deshaun Watson will be their quarterback. They're going to face the Colts. It will be the 2019 Colts, so Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. To watch that one, make sure you are subscribed to the FanDuel YouTube page, which is where you are watching this right now. Just subscribe. This is where all the FanDuel Football Multiverse videos will live and will stream live as we get to see the results and see how things play out here from a DFS perspective. Check out the DFS contest as well in the FanDuel lobby. I believe those are posted on Thursdays, so should be able to get that pretty soon. All right, Falcons offense back out there to start off this second half with Matt Ryan under center, trying to build on their 21-7 lead. And there's some volume for Devontae Freeman, but not the kind of volume you want if you decided to use him in DFS.
I think what we're learning here in these simulations too, pro tip, is that the running backs are just going to be incredibly, incredibly touchdown dependent. We saw David Montgomery find the end zone last week. But it's just going to be easier with such a small amount of time to accumulate points and accumulate yards. It's just easier to get those chunks of yards via the air than on the ground.
Exactly. What's your outlook for Todd Gurley this year? He is obviously not in the simulation because this is based on 2019 rosters, but we do get to see him with the Falcons in 2020. What's the outlook for him given all the conflicting things that are working both for and against Todd Gurley this year?
Yeah, I mean, Dirk Cutter's quote about no one knowing the health of Todd Gurley, despite the fact that they just signed him to that 1-year deal. But they signed him for a really cheap deal. I think he's only getting $5 million. So it was a really team-friendly deal. To me, them not drafting a running back with any sort of equity is a great sign for Gurley to get a lot of work this year. I think he's sort of a value. We're seeing a lot of these like older, veteran, aged, unsexy running backs in fantasy this year sort of be values. There's an incomplete pass. They're probably going to have to punt here on 4th and inches. We're seeing these guys like David Johnson and Le'Veon Bell and Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley's not really old, but old in terms of what their bodies are doing. We're seeing them fall in fantasy drafts, and they still have a lot of volume upside, and I'm sort of intrigued by it. I think Gurley is a fringe RB1, all things considered, just given the offense that he's in, etc. The one thing that we always have to keep in mind, though, with a move like Todd Gurley has from the Rams to the Falcons, is that the Rams have been one of the friendliest teams to running backs, not just in terms of volume and feeding Todd Gurley and him being a workhorse, but in the red zone and close to the goal line. They've been one of the most run-heavy teams in football, which hurts your boy Jared Goff.
I'm aware.
Yeah.
I was looking at Pro Football Focus numbers feverishly in like week 13 last year because I was like, why are there so few passing touchdowns for Jared Goff? It turns out they were very rushing heavy towards the goal line.
And the Falcons are the complete opposite. Now, maybe Todd Gurley changes that a bit. I doubt it. But I don't think his touchdown upside is as high as people might think given the offense he's in. But I think he should have a decent floor as long as he's healthy.
All right, so they do give it to Alvin Kamara here to start off their first drive of the second half. And the good thing here for the Saints, if they're trying to mount a comeback here, is the Falcons did not add to their lead. It is still 21-7, still a 2-score game. So kind of starting things off here where they don't have to necessarily panic yet. These Madden games are very short, but they've got a little bit of time. Lean on Michael Thomas, lean on Jared Cook, and see what happens. But instead, they're going to lean on Alvin Kamara, establish the run.
Yeah. Down 14 in a truncated game, you got to lean on your running back in the run game.
Absolutely. No better time to establish the run than this situation. But maybe if you saw Taysom Hill in the first half, you would want to run the football too.
True.
Passing is generally more efficient than rushing, but is that actually true? Taysom Hill is your quarterback. It is 3rd down and 3 here. Maybe we'll get a Taysom Hill rush attempt, but instead he chucks into the dirt because why not? He's 4 of 11, 40 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Exactly, I think, what you would have expected here in this situation.
Yeah, some rushing juice there. He's had a couple runs, but nothing significant from Hill. So if you played him, you're feeling good that he at least found the end zone. But Matt Ryan has been the clear winner at the quarterback position so far.
I just realized you could have gone Taysom Hill, Josh Hill, and Brian Hill in your lineups. We should have. Yeah. Man, geez, this is all after the fact.
Playing Brian Hill would be just a little bit of a stretch of a play, but
again, you got to go with the narrative. Why care about cash when you can instead care about a narrative? I think that we got to get our priorities straight, and getting the names aligning correctly far more important than anything else. So, quick little drive there for the Saints. We were just talking about how it's great. They're only down by 2 scores. The Falcons didn't score to extend the lead. Oh well. It was fun while it lasted. 3:43 left here in the third quarter as the Falcons will take back over. I think we're talking about the Saints quarterback situation. I thought the Jameis Winston move was really savvy because we talk about, like, at least from a betting perspective, another dime there from Matt Ryan to Austin Hooper.
Austin Hooper's having a great game too.
Absolutely. Hooper already up to 5 receptions. But talking about the Saints quarterback situation, from a betting perspective, I want to know the floor of a team. I want to know how bad can they be if the bottom falls out? And I think that the Saints, by signing Jameis Winston to such a team-friendly deal, they just elevated their floor, like, significantly. Because my expectations for Jameis Winston at quarterback for them compared to Taysom Hill at quarterback are wildly different. So I know that's, like, a very small move, but, like, in my brain, that really does change a lot of things. And it changes the way that I view the range of outcomes for that Saints team in 2020.
Yeah, I mean, we saw last year Teddy Bridgewater step in. He was pretty effective. He didn't do anything crazy,
right.
But he was effective, and he did what he had to do in order to maintain, the strong win percentage for the Saints. And I think Jameis is capable, and I think it was smart for him to be on a roster and with a team that we know is well coached, and hopefully he can learn from it.
Devontae Freeman getting loose. I love it.
Some rumors.
38 yards.
Some rumors surrounding Devontae Freeman.
Yeah, absolutely. Could know more about him for sure and see if he still has anything left in the tank. But from a volume perspective, really good stuff here so far with Devontae Freeman on the Atlanta Falcons, running behind that offensive line, a healthy offensive line, which is key here because last year that was not the case. Chris Lindstrom got hurt early in the season. I believe he got hurt in week 1. So Lindstrom and McGarry on the right side. They also got my boy Matt Hennessy in the draft. Really big addition there for them to increase the depth along the interior. And they're just feeding Devontae Freeman. Hey, if you're up 21-7 on a team leading Taysom Hill in the third quarter, why not? But I think, you want to be mindful of the Falcons' curse with running the football in the second quarter with a 2-score lead. Oh, no, Matt Ryan threw a pick 6.
Oh my goodness, Jim, bringing up the curse, and instantly we get a pick 6. Instantly.
I have a lot of respect for Atlanta Falcons fans for what they've been through, and I don't want to add to their pain.
This is amazing.
So let me just say, I am so sorry.
Targeting your boy Russell Gage too.
I know.
Man, the Saints are about to blow a 14-point lead, guys. Which honestly might be worse in this, just given the amount of time that's left, might be worse in this game than it was in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. But Matt Ryan had that risky throw earlier in the game. It was a drop pick, so it didn't wind up mattering. But here, Pick six. So no defense and special teams in FanDuel single game rosters, but those defense and special team shares, had they been there, would have been going nuts. Oh, well.
Yeah, that was a huge play. Huge play.
21-14 now. The Falcons still on top of the Saints, but the Falcons will be getting the ball back here. I think now, I know that Matt Ryan just threw a pick six, but now's the time we got to open things back up a little bit. Let him throw, use Julio Jones, use Calvin Ridley. I realize that the ground game with Devontae Freeman has been more efficient than it would have been last year, so it may not be necessarily as necessary to kind of go aerial assault, but like from an efficiency and expected efficiency perspective, you're gonna want to give the ball to Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they learned their lesson in the Super Bowl with Kyle Shanahan and how conservative they ended up getting.
Are we allowed to say that name on a stream where Falcons fans may potentially be watching?
Guys. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Or 49ers fans, I guess, now, too.
Look, let's just be real. Everyone outside of the Boston area was rooting for the Falcons. So, we at least felt some pain whenever
I was watching it with multiple Patriots fans, which made it worse.
Yeah, that would be kind of rough.
Absolutely. All right, so Matt Ryan back out there trying to bounce back from the pick six. We didn't really have a lot of defensive magic in last week's stream, but couple of pick sixes here, one for the Falcons and one for the Saints to balance things out. Heavy personnel for the Falcons. Hopefully doesn't mean they're going to be keeping things on the ground here. And they do let Matt Ryan pass all day in the pocket. And another completion to Austin Hooper, his sixth catch. He is approaching 100 yards. I think he's just below 90 now. So Austin Hooper probably should have never left. 86 yards for Austin Hooper already.
Yeah, the Saints right now in total offense, it looks like they have about a third of what the Falcons have in terms of yardage. So Falcons are the team that if you made a lineup, that you would want to stack them as opposed to the Saints very clearly.
We were talking about the value of touchdowns, but Austin Hooper's up to 11.6 FanDuel points with no touchdowns. And I think that's like, it shows you the impact of volume, but also it shows how big of a piece he has been in this Falcons passing offense for this stream here today. But now, of course, the actual Austin Hooper is up in Cleveland, joining Baker Mayfield and Kevin Stefanski there. So we get another run for Devontae Freeman, a lot of space. He gets across midfield. Another nice move by Devontae Freeman. 53 yards rushing now for Devontae Freeman as we approach the end of the third quarter. But JJ, Austin Hooper going to Cleveland. You mentioned before potential concerns around passing volume, given Kevin Stefanski's the way that offense operated in Minnesota last year. What's your fantasy outlook for Austin Hooper in his new home?
I still think he should be ranked as a top 10 tight end. But the one thing to keep in mind with Stefanski, everyone looks at what the Vikings did last year. They were pretty run heavy. Some of that had to do with games. 23rd in the NFL in neutral script ratio. They actually ran at a fairly high pace when games were close and in the first half. It's just that they slowed things down because it was a good team. And I don't think the Browns are necessarily going to be in the same sorts of situations as the Vikings were last year. So we could see more volume in the passing game for the Browns this year. And Austin Hooper is going to be the top tight end target on that team, but they're really running the offense schematically similar to how the Vikings had things set up. I just think there's going to be more passing volume in general there. So he's still okay. It's just that he's not in the most pass heavy offense as, the number 2/3 option in that offense. He's now the number 3 option in an offense that isn't going to have as many pass attempts. So naturally he gets bumped down a little bit.
And I think the big thing with Kevin Stefanski to keep in mind is that when Mike Zimmer is your head coach, you're going to be pushed a certain direction. Mike Zimmer wants to run. So now we see Kevin Stefanski running his own offense. Will he be as run heavy? Possibly. But Stefanski seems to be a pretty analytical guy because of his infatuation with play action. So I think there is a range of outcomes where the Browns are more pass heavy than we expect. I wouldn't necessarily say that should be your expectation of them, but I think it's within the range of outcomes that Kevin Stefanski is a bit more pass happy than he was last year at Minnesota, just because he can kind of run his own offense. Maybe he does buy into the numbers because, again, the play action infatuation shows that he does look at the numbers. Another run here for Devontae Freeman. Dude's just got space for days. 12 carries, 79 yards. He had a catch earlier too. Maybe we were too early to dismiss Devontae Freeman as being a legitimate rushing option. Because, again, everything in Madden is exactly realistic. What could possibly be different between this in real life?
Yes, exactly. I mean, look, I said earlier that running backs, it seems like they would need to find the end zone to really pay off. But at this point, just given how bad the Saints offense has been, Devontae Freeman has been a pretty good play.
Yeah, he has. Austin Hooper has. And Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones, the guys with the touchdowns, haven't done a ton outside of that. So we could see some interesting lineups here at the top of the leaderboard by the end of the night. We're now down to less than 5 minutes left in the game. Falcons eating up some clock, but also still moving the football. And that's kind of the key here is it's okay to run if you're going to be crazy efficient. And they basically have been that for the grand majority of this game, in part because of Devontae Freeman. Now, he's gotten monster holes, so kudos to that offensive line. Alex Mack leading the charge up
finally coming together.
Absolutely. Finally staying healthy, as this time it is a rush attempt that may have actually been Brian Hill. Now, Ito Smith, all right. The judge back in town. Ito Smith seems like he's been a little bit forgotten about after all the injuries of last year. He was $7,500. Obviously, not doing a whole lot for you, but getting a little bit of volume in there. As the Falcons are now 3rd and 6, 4 minutes left, trying to add and make this a 2-score lead once again. Ryan is going to pass, and he completes that one out to the outside. Ooh. I thought there was some room for Ridley to maybe get the first down there, try to get a little fancy feet, but couldn't quite get it. 5.1, before the touchdown. So 11.1 FanDuel points for Calvin Ridley in this game, but it is 4th down for the Falcons. So Falcons, guys, the scoring distribution here pretty interesting because you got Austin Hooper, Devontae Freeman, Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, all kind of bunched together from a FanDuel perspective as we get the full view of that tackle by Demario Davis.
Have to see it all. Calvin really didn't really show a lot of heart on that play. I don't think he really wanted the first down.
He wanted Younghoe Koo to be emphasized here.
Yeah.
Younghoe Koo got 3 points already, and we will make that 6 points for Younghoe Koo, and it is a 2-score game. All right, once again, we're getting negative game script Taysom Hill. This is why all of you tuned in. You wanted to see Taysom Hill unleashed. You got it. It hasn't looked pretty at times, but we're going to see. There he is.
Look at that. They're showing him off.
I think the black glove with the black sleeve and the black jersey is optimal. Like, if we're going to do this, do it big. And he leaned into it. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. I was kind of hoping that field goal would be missed, though, so we could see a potential game-winning milk the clock drive and then go for 2 at the end.
We'll still see it, baby. It's just going to take extra time.
Yeah,
would have been
awesome.
Taysom Hill, that he can generate a touchdown quickly.
Two more scores.
Yeah, exactly. There's about 3 minutes left in this game. Once again, we'll be back next week for week number 3 of the FanDuel Football Multiverse. Deshaun Watson, what if the Jacksonville Jaguars had drafted him? Facing off against Indianapolis Colts. No Leonard Fournette on the Jags, but there will be a Deshaun Watson, which means you can see DJ Chark and Dede Westbrook, Chris Conley, all those guys with a really, really good quarterback in Deshaun Watson. I'm pretty excited to see how that one goes as well. Make sure you are subscribed to the FanDuel YouTube page to get a notification as that one goes live.
Yeah, and no Leonard Fournette will be interesting to see how the running back situation shakes up, but that's what happens because if they would have gotten Deshaun Watson, they would not have gotten Leonard Fournette.
All right, let's see your magic, Taysom Hill. He's going to tuck it and run now. And he gets out of bounds.
Just waiting for that block. Man.
Got out of bounds. Stop the clock. And we do get the point there from Taysom Hill. So there's your swag meter for Taysom Hill.
He's got 28 yards on the ground. Not terrible.
And he got out of bounds. Stop the clock. Jared Cook. See, Jared Cook. Still can't hit him when he's open by 5 yards. But Jared Cook, the selfless man he is, still willing to throw that block, and that is why Jared Cook is our fearless leader.
He really sold that, too. He was just kind of standing there, and then all of a sudden, boom, just crushes him.
1st and 10 here for the Saints. 3:14 left. Taysom Hill dropping back and got all the time in the world in a short little dump off to Alvin Kamara. Kamara did not do him any favors there.
No,
Alvin, it's like coffee grinder after the catch.
Yeah, it's like his hand got stuck in the ground, and he just spun around and couldn't go upfield.
Which means that Taysom Hill now has less than 40 passing yards for the entire game. That one not really on him, but Terran Armstead and Ryan Ramczyk gave him like 15 minutes in the pocket, and we got a negative 2-yard conversion.
He could have easily run there too.
Yeah, exactly. So some questions, some lingering questions around Taysom Hill in this offense. 2nd down and 12 here for Hill. 2:41 left. Again, they're down by 2 scores. Need some magic for Taysom Hill. Nice pass there as he finds Ted Ginn on the sidelines. Hill up to 53 yards with a touchdown and a pick. Ted Ginn, 3 receptions. I'm not sure where Michael Thomas.
Yeah. Well, no, we knew that he retired at the beginning.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah. Okay, so hopefully he's kicked back. I want to see Michael Thomas in the Cliff Kingsbury mansion, just like feet up on the coffee table in front of a beautiful sunset. That's what I want for Michael Thomas right now.
Yeah. Michael Thomas is gonna emerge in a Falcons uniform by the end of this game.
Oh man, that'd be pretty fun. Pistol formation here with Taysom Hill and dropping back once again. Little dump off. I want to see the deep ball, man. Let her rip.
Yeah.
Let's go downfield. Show off that cannon that Sean Payton thinks you've got. I know the Saints offense average depth of target is like 2 yards. But let's let it rip a little bit, especially when you're down 2 scores as we approach the 2-minute warning here. Let's see some magic here.
Hopefully they can get a playoff. There we go.
Last one before the 2-minute warning. Hill's going to run again and just short of the first down marker, but that brings us to the 2-minute warning. And I love the running aggressiveness for Taysom Hill, but I'd kind of prefer if he had done it earlier when they weren't down by 2 scores with the clock running out here and expiring.
Agreed. I think he could have maybe gotten that one too, but we've seen, if you guys missed the stream last week, Mitchell Trubisky had a run for the ages where he had 25 yards of open field and he just decided to do a little nice spin move right into a defender.
After that, I can never complain again. I can complain about that.
That was bad. He had Kamara wide open in a flat too.
He did, yeah. But that brings up 4th and 1. Long field goal for Will Lutz. I probably would just go for it.
Got to go for this, right?
I would assume so. And it looks like they will be doing exactly that. As we are now within the 2-minute warning. Good thing for the Saints is no Will Lutz. They got a lot of faith in Will Lutz.
57-yarder.
And this could be a 5-point field goal here. So if you did use Will Lutz, could bail you out, and the kick is no good. So
what are they doing? Sean Payton, what are you doing, buddy?
I can never question Sean Payton in general. Real Sean Payton. Virtual Sean Payton and I could have some words, though. We can exchange some words.
We need to send Madden an algorithm for when to go for it and when not to go for it.
No. More importantly is when to throw and when to rush. And the chart is literally just, are you running a play? You should pass. That's all it says. That is the chart. The 4th down chart is it 4th down? You should go for it. That's just how it is.
Right. I think this game's over now, right? You got to assume.
I would assume so. But 3 timeouts for the Saints. So they can at least get the ball back. I'm not sure what they can do with the ball in that time, but heavy formation here for the Falcons. Get a little bit of Jaden Graham love. Why not? The hero of Thanksgiving DFS. Ooh. Another hole for Devontae Freeman as he picks up 10 yards. That probably will do it because it gets the first down, I think, and gets rid of 1 timeout, which means they'll have a full running clock after one of the plays. Oh, no first down. Okay, so we're still a little bit live here. But a first down would pretty much juice things and close the book on this one. But you never know. Maybe Matt Ryan has another pick 6 in him. Maybe we can't count that out. We were trying to shower love on them before, and I think he's short again.
Did you get that?
I think he's short again, but that's 3rd and inches. We were trying to shower love on them before, and then Matt Ryan decided, let's make this game interesting. He had the Saints plus whatever 7.5.
I think the most shocking thing in this game though has been the Falcons' offensive line being able to open those holes for Devontae Freeman. That really, I think, has changed. Obviously they haven't gotten a first down yet here.
Right.
I'm expecting a first here, but just because the offensive line has played well.
Oh my gosh, they got like 5 yards of push on that play.
Yeah. I mean, look, the Falcons' offensive line over the last couple of years, they've had and this is really what their whole offense looks like right now, just a bunch of like first rounders, right? They have this talent. They just haven't been healthy. They haven't been able to bring it all together. But we're seeing what can happen with strictly talent on a football field. the offensive line's playing a lot better than what we've seen in the past.
And they had like this aggressive plan with the offensive line last year, took 2 guys in the first round, and then, like we said, Chris Lindstrom got hurt right away and kind of foiled that. So now we get to see a full year of Chris Lindstrom within this offense, with everyone being healthy here and seeing how things work out. They've got the pieces to be a really good offensive line, which is kind of what you want if you're trying to get jazzed about Todd Gurley, but we just need to stay healthy, and we haven't really seen that yet. Also, Todd Gurley got experience last year running behind a bad offensive line, so at least he is battle-tested at this point.
I have to say, Devontae Freeman has owned me. Because he might be under now, but I think he had over 100 total yards, and he might still, but he has 18 rushes for 93 yards on the ground, which I didn't expect him to see that much volume in this game. But he's also been fairly effective, just given, the Saints have a good run defense. I mean, this is not an easy team to run on, and Devontae Freeman has had crazy holes. He hasn't looked amazing because he's not like the most talented guy in the world anymore, but he definitely has owned me after me saying to not use running backs in this simulation after he's given us fantasy points without finding the end zone.
And it looks like we are in victory formation. So that's going to close up shop here as the Falcons are going to get a win 24-14. All right, JJ, we got to see a full game of Taysom Hill at quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. Saints fans probably pretty happy they don't have to see that in reality this year because Drew Brees is still around, but how are things looking for you now that we kind of have a better idea of what things look like with Taysom Hill running the show here?
Not great, Bob. not great. That was not a good showing from Taysom Hill. I'm hoping that we don't see that IRL. Actually, I kind of want to see it IRL just to see what it would all look like.
The internet would go nuts. The internet would die.
Yeah. But at least he looks swaggy while he got it all done.
Absolutely. And what matters more, swag or stats? Right. I'm going to go with swag. You can't quantify swag. That's right. So Taysom Hill, a true winner, despite all of that. All right, so the Falcons get the win here, 24-14. Looking at some of the final stats here, Devontae Freeman, 93 yards rushing, 1 catch for 5 yards. Through the air, we had Austin Hooper, 86 yards receiving, but no touchdowns there. Still 11.6 FanDuel points. Julio Jones, 49 yards and a touchdown for him as well, but a big day for Austin Hooper, and we'll see how things play out there. As far as Matt Ryan goes, he had those 2 passing touchdowns, 182 yards, also had that pick 6. Taysom Hill, 7 of 15, 60 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Any final thoughts here, JD, before we close up shop within the past couple of seconds?
No, that's it. I mean, we saw what Taysom Hill would look like as starter.
We'll be back here again next week to see what Deshaun Watson looks like if the Jacksonville Jaguars had drafted him. That'll be right here on the FanDuel Football Multiverse.